guys, warm welcome to Phil's Corner, to our Tuesday eBay stream. And as we're beginning, I don't know why the chat's not appearing. That's a shame because we have a good number of you joining in early, so welcome. That's Michael, Samantha, Colchester United Fans TV, and Ian. And also Samantha subscribing as well, I see, so thank you, Samantha. Michael saying afternoon from Virginia, and indeed Samantha's from Indiana, so a couple of friends stateside. Whether we'll still be friends in a couple of weeks' time when the World Cup game happens, we shall see. But welcome, guys. Welcome, Colchester United Fans TV, and Ian. He says, big up to our stateside brothers and sisters. Indeed. Great to have you guys. And wherever you're tuning in from, a warm welcome here at the channel. Fun update. I've been meaning to do it for a while. I uploaded a clip, the clip from my brief but very fun interview with the BBC last year. So it's months and months ago, but basically you can check that out now on the channel. There is a bit of noise on the clip. Apologies for that. But anyway, that's on. Just uploaded today. Have a look at that if you haven't listened to it already. It's quite funny, and as I say, well, you'll see why as you watch it. I don't know where the chat has gone. I'm just going to try. I mean, you should never try and do technical things live, but I'm just going to try and see what's going on there. Honestly, I can't see why it wouldn't show up. Matt as well, Matt Hales, and Andy. Good evening, guys. As I say, I'm just going to quickly switch scenes. Bear with me 1 second. Still nothing. I mean, obviously, we've still got the chat window in YouTube itself, so I won't let this bog me down. Although having said that, it is annoying. Let me try one more thing as we start. It's all showing up on YouTube's end, so I think it's a problem with my streaming software. Anyway, nonetheless, welcome. And indeed, even though the chat window, as far as I can tell, isn't showing on this screen, you of course still have the chat facility to ask any questions as we go through tonight. We'll be going through eBay, but we'll having some fun, just talk about shirts as we go through. If you've got any questions, whether it's about eBay or anything else, leave them in the chat. And even though, as I say, it's invisible on this screen, it will be visible to me otherwise. Richard, on speaking of the BBC interview, references it saying, I hope the reporter didn't split a seam on your Portugal shirt. I must admit, at the time I did cringe when I saw it, and even watching it back again, I kind of thought, oh no. It hurts to see a shirt handled like that, doesn't it? Thankfully, it didn't split, so at least as far as I could see. So that was a bit painful there. As I think someone said in the comments, I'm glad he didn't go with the Germany shirt. Alan Diaz, hello Alan. And Jack says, any upcoming Phil's Corner videos? Yes, there are. So I'm going to be doing, the next video to go on the channel is a talk I gave at an event earlier this year, talking about my faith and football shirts. And it's just something which I've wanted to upload to the channel for a while, for those who couldn't make that event. So that's coming up soon. Later in this month, there will be a what I'm buying for the last 2 months. So I'm going to combine them again. Medium to long term, there's also a documentary style video which I'm doing about the Club Atletico Belgrano shirts. So there's stuff coming up for sure, as well as the usual streams. As we begin, guys, join Samantha, as she has already this evening, in subscribing to the channel if you are new, if you haven't subscribed already. Got a good number already here tonight, which is great. So don't forget to subscribe. And you can also support me on Patreon. There's a link in the description. But it's time to get to eBay, so I'll just quickly get ready and get the eBay page sorted. Here we go. Let's go to eBay and see what we can find. So, as you can see, I mean, this is literally what we're doing tonight. We're going to trawl through eBay. We're going to see what we can find. whether it's bargains, whether it's holy grails which may have found their way onto the platform. As we do, I'll talk a bit about my process of eBay, shopping on eBay, how I help authenticate shirts, and just enjoying the weird and wonderful world of eBay. I say this every time, but I will, for the benefit of anyone who's new, I like to do a very broad term, literally in this case football shirts, auctions ending soonest. But there's many ways to shop on eBay, so this isn't necessarily the best way, it's just one way. As you begin, we've got a really fun eye actually, and that's already ended, so we can't actually bid on that. But this would have been honestly, this would have been a nice potential pickup. Now, I can't see anything that suggests this isn't real either. Everything looks pretty good at first glance. Yeah, 27 quid, nice price for whoever snagged that. This art shirt, the colour scheme is honestly pretty weird. But you know what's funny about this one? It really reminds me, at least that sandy beige colour really reminds me of the Daily Paper shirt. Is it the third shirt or the away shirt? It's the third shirt, isn't it? From this season. So it's not related to that, but the colour does remind me of that. And that's a really nice price. For a shirt that's this sort of age, it looks to be good quality, and crucially it's in large. That's the key thing, guys. I say this all the time. A shirt that's either medium or large is going to command more value. It's going to typically sell for more than even a smaller XL. They tend to be a little bit cheaper. So if you are smaller XL, it's generally good news if you're looking on eBay. But yeah, that is, honestly, I'm just looking at it again, that's a really good pickup. Yeah, I won't spend time looking at how much the market value is. We could do that if we were thinking about it bidding, but nice, yeah, nice pickup. Yeah, Samantha saying just due to higher demand, I guess. Yeah, exactly. In terms of like, you know, the average person who buys a football shirt, or kind of just the most popular sizes, you know, regardless of football shirts. Yeah, medium and large, they're the sweet spot. They're the ones, yeah, they're the sizes typically you pay a bit more for. Yeah. Now this, I believe, is a retro shirt or retro remake of the Roma shirt. Were it an original, would be all over that at 25 quid. Yeah, you can see on the inside label there. I mean, if we were being generous, we could say that might be a licensed remake, or more likely just a fake shirt. Well, you do see many fake Diodora shirts going around, but I'm pretty sure a replica, retro copy, according to the description. So we won't waste any more time on that. But yeah, just final word on the eye shirt. Yeah, were that, well, it's funny actually. I was going to say that seems a good deal. Interestingly, on the similar items, there seems to be another one for the same sort of price. Of course, with 2 days to go, it could increase, but maybe these are actually cheaper than I thought. Maybe they're actually, I would have thought you'd pay at least double that, at least from a classic sort of site, like classic football shirts. Ian says somebody's got a bargain with the eye shirt, popular club and a good sign. Yeah, no, honestly, again, had we not just stumbled onto this as we began the stream, this definitely would have been worth, I think, a closer look. I certainly would have wanted to have taken a look at the price of this on the market to help inform how much we'd bid for it. But yeah, nice pickup for sure. Michael says, are shirts with the blank back more valuable versus a shirt with a plain name and number? Great question, Michael. In all honesty, I think a big it depends on that one. So broadly speaking, name and numbers can add value to the shirt if it's not a super niche player, or something like if a player's left a club and not actually worn that shirt that season. So, you know, those things can harm it. But if it's a popular player, you typically will pay more. But again, more caveats, things like the condition of the name set matter a lot. So if you've got a really battered name set, that doesn't help. And, you know, obviously the other big caveat, which is kind of obvious, but it's worth saying, if it is a personalised name set with your own name, that actually does harm the value quite a bit. Even though you can get those removed, it's a bit of a faff, and obviously most people don't want to bother with that. So yeah, my general advice is, or my general kind of comment on name and numbers is that I think they could be nice, and you know, if it's like a bespoke typeface for the club, like a cup typeface or what have you, that can be, I think, particularly nice. But it has to be in good condition, and also be aware of the player. Like I personally, I collect shirts with some obscure name and number sometimes for fun, but you know, if I was concerned about value, I'd probably want to be thinking more about that. But yeah, there we go. Just before I get to this interesting Napoli shirt, a few more comments. Guys, really great to have so many people in the chat today. So sorry the chat facility doesn't seem to be working on the side of the screen, but doesn't seem to be affecting anything. So thank you guys already for your comments. I will get to them as we go through. Samantha saying replica retro copy. That's a generous way to say no here. Indeed, indeed. Zaheen, good to see you, Zaheen. Hope you're well, mate. JPR saying always buy your shirts at least 2 sizes up. You never know when a BBC reporter might try to put over his jacket. Oh gosh, can you imagine if it had like just completely ripped the shirt? Honestly, even though it's just, you know, it's just a Portugal 2004 shirt, but it's one of my favourites. It's one of my first shirts I ever bought, and with the Postiga name set. Talking of obscure names, numbers. Right. More comments, but I'm just going to get to the Napoli shirt because, again, thank you guys already. Great to have some good chat. Keep the comments coming. If I do miss your comment, someone in the chat will probably respond, or I'll come to it later. I was just intrigued by this Napoli shirt because the condition is notably quite worn. You see here on the Diodoro sign, manufacturer mark, and the sponsor as well. But honestly, surprising to see some bidding. Now, it is relatively cheap at £22. But anytime you see a shirt that's a bit battered like this, but is still getting significant action, it speaks to the value of the shirt, the rarity of the shirt. Were this a more readily available shirt, a shirt that you see every day, even though it is cheap at £22, but that's just quite notable to me to see that. So yeah, really interesting shirt. I must admit, I don't recall many, if any, of the Diodoro and Napoli shirts particularly. I believe it was only a very short period they were with Diodoro, but I might be wrong. Killer Kits UK seems to be a very good seller in terms of ratings, and indeed it's nice to see a seller where the listings are all beginning quite low. That's always quite fun, you know, having those auctions. You see a lot of sellers where they have they know the value of the shirts, but they list them quite high in terms of a starting price. Yeah, so there's some fun shirts there. Again, £22 is a very interesting price given the condition. Yeah, again, this speaks, I'd say, to the value of it, that it's still getting attention. Speaking of that, there's also a similarly priced shirt, a Middlesbrough shirt here. So a lot of activity tonight on eBay. This one is this the one they wore in the, it's the League Cup final, wasn't it, that they played in? I can't remember now, but it's certainly, I certainly remember the shirt in some way, shape or form, with one of the relatively early gambling sponsors there. Back in the day when not quite every club was sponsored by a gambling sponsor. How soon that would change. Guys, again, I just want to say thank you for your comments. Let's get to them now. Ian saying Ronaldo Man United shirt's not as valuable as last week. Indeed, that genuinely will affect the market value in a small way, I would say, because clearly in the example of Ronaldo, despite how mad that situation is, he is of course a very popular player still. But yeah, that is funny. Alan, even his retro United shirts. So yeah, again in that situation, Alan, I would say, yeah, there isn't really an effect. But certainly, if you were today, you went to sell your Ronaldo shirt, I would hold off a bit just to let it cool down somewhat. Everything that's happening isn't going to make it more attractive, at least to fans who are very frustrated at his comments. Andy saying, watch out for no such you get. Last season I got Pompey away shirt with Marquise in the back. Then we sold him because he had a nightmare. Yeah, that does happen. That's the risk you get of a kind of more niche name set or a name set for a player. Yeah, that can happen. Baz saying, hi guys, unfortunately just on my way to work, so I can't stay long. Hope you don't go for a certain shirt I'm looking at on eBay tonight. Baz, I will make no promises, my friends. I'm in the mood for buying something. We'll see what happens. But Hope you have a good shift, Baz. Thanks for stopping by. I really appreciate that, especially when you're busy or you're on your way to work. Again, guys, this isn't an auction we can enter, but part of my enjoyment of eBay isn't just actually bidding for stuff; it's just seeing what shirts go for. This I don't remember ever seeing this Middlesbrough shirt. What an interesting design from RARE, who of course are working with Bowen now as well. Honestly, I really like it. I mean, it's not necessarily a very good design, but it's very 90s. Or late, I was going to say late 90s, yeah, 99, 2000, that very much fits the bill with the fit and even the kind of the style of it. You know, that collar, reminiscent of Nike shirts of the time, of the late 90s. So everything about this is just great. The sponsor, of course, is brilliant. Look at that. Look at that. This is like old embroidery technology. Like, it just looks so chunky and and honestly pretty kind of like, if you saw that today, you'd say that was a bit too low quality. Look how fat the line is. I don't know, maybe their crest was like that, I don't know. But anyway, £100. So there you go. I mean, to me, that isn't surprising. I don't think I've seen that shirt again. I don't remember seeing that shirt before, so it's not one you just see all the time. And it looks to be in really good condition, and it's a good size. We talked about sizes. There it is, medium. So very, very nice shirt, and yeah, a nice little payout for the seller there. And there's another fantastic Boa shirt from the same seller. So this person clearly has a very good Middlesbrough collection. This one seems to be, I was going to say, much smaller. Almost looks like a kid's shirt, but I don't know what the size is. But either way, another interesting shirt. You can see the detail there on the lines much better. Must have just been that purple one that's a bit chunky. But this design, guys, is another mad look. Like, there's so much about this from the look at the placement, the RARE logo, the sleeve, the whole thing is just honestly it's genuinely one of the craziest 90s kits. A brilliant one for a collector or a fan. Honestly, that price, I'm sure, would be much higher if it was in a better size. You can see it's a size small. That isn't the only reason for it to be. Like, I think, well, again, I would have thought that it would have been more. Would have gone for more than the 99 one, but there we go. Proper 90s indeed, Daniel. Proper, just a great. Again, there's so much about this which is it's rough around the edges. Like, even to things like the little tag. You see the tag on the side? If I can get it there. There we go. This one here. Oh, that's a terrible job of zooming in. Wrong one. You get the picture. Having an absolute mare there. Too much of something. Indeed. Alan. Sorry, I'm just catching the comments. Again, it's been a busy evening already, and great to see over 20 of you guys. Thank you. If you are new, don't forget to subscribe. That really helps out the channel. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in on this Tuesday. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, back to the comments. Again, there's been so many comments I haven't been able to keep up, but that's a good problem. Alan says, I've noticed people list some stunners on the weekend. I caught 2010. Barca long sleeve and Messi. That is a classic. Talking to name sets, Messi is almost always going to be worth having, or at least it's going to add value to a shirt. And Spain as well, very good. Jack, best template of all time. For me, it's the Adidas Germany 90 kit design, also using Boca. Honestly, I would say that it's the same, Jack, and you know, even though that design wasn't used for many clubs, it was stunning, and it's one of my, well, probably the favourite shirt in my collection is that Boca shirt, or a couple of the versions of that Boca shirt. But other good templates, I mean, basically most Adidas templates from that era. Total 90 has a lot of nostalgia for me, so I'd rate that up there, even though it's not technically as good as those Adidas ones. Right, let's continue. Talking of name sets, Makoko, I'm not sure how you say the guy's name actually. That is one of those where at the time would have been a semi-risky option, but he seems to be panning out as a young player. So again, that's the kind of thing. Sometimes these wonder kids, they flop. It doesn't mean the shirt is ruined as such, but it can certainly harm the value if you go for some sort of prospect. And I kind of like doing that. I've done that a few times where I've thought, oh, I'd rather go for the up and coming player. Can bite you in the bum, so to speak. Boxing, sorry I'm late. No worries, Brooke. No worries. Thanks for tuning in. Anyway, thanks for stumbling in. Only 20 minutes late, mate. Not so bad. I didn't answer you last week. I got my New Zealand shirt from a seller on Macquarie. Very good. Baz said, did anyone watch Bug Hunt and see that rather dashing football shirt close on there? Very good, Baz. Yeah, I will share that round. I will share that round tomorrow. Great little clip there. Yeah, very, very cool. Indeed, as Jack says there. And a box center. This week I bought an untracked Braunschweig 2017 special carnival shirt. Very nice. So good pickups from the community. Staying in the late 90s, we've got a few late 90s kits already tonight. I really like the look. I really like the look of this Hans Rostock shirt. I think this is definitely going to be worth some activity. So, 6 minutes to go. Guys, the first thing I must say, just looking at it, it's a real shame about the size. And to be honest, XXL in a late 90s shirt is going to be too big. Otherwise, yeah, it's too big. Interesting note, that looks a little bit like it's been added on afterwards. So we probably won't be in this because of the size. Again, with this sort of era, you can usually size down quite comfortably. So I think it's too much. Even an XL would be pushing it, but an XXL, I think, sometimes I would buy shirts that aren't my size to sell on. I think I'm going to pass, but I do want to have a look and see if I can find this shirt online. I don't recall this particular design, and indeed I don't have any recollection really of many Hansa Rostock shirts from this era, but they do have a fantastic, I love their crest, very simple ship. It's always a good look. This template, I mean, what I love about these Adidas shirts, look at this little detail, the jock tag here, guys, and this is the same for various teams. It's so nice. I mean, you don't even really get a good view here. If I just zoom in, you get a very pixelated look. But this was such a nice element, which most Adidas kits at the time had, and it was just such a quality detail. Small thing, but it's a nice thing to look out for with your late 90s Adidas shirts. Yeah, I want to try and find this again. I mean, to be honest, if this actually is a very good price, it might still be worth a bid, even though it wouldn't be one necessarily to wear. Let's try and find it. This is part of the fun for me. Again, on eBay, it's just kind of seeing what sort of price would we be looking at for this kind of shirt. So we'll look at, again, a quick Google is a nice place to start. Nothing special there. And then also just going on places like classic football shirts. I don't think I've seen much of this shirt before, so I don't think we're necessarily going to be able to find much of it, although there is one here. So this is on vintage football shirts. They actually do list the price they sold out, but this could be from quite a while ago. Indeed, that picture suggests it was from a little bit ago when they used to have their product shots on the mannequin. So 35 quid then. I would guess we're looking at over 50, honestly, if I was to give a market value price. You can see there, that's a match worn, so that doesn't count, but very nice. Yeah, I'll come back to this in a second. Book saying I've also bought a 2021 home Uganda shirt from CFS a couple of years ago. I spent 2 weeks in Uganda with the organisation Soccer Without Borders. It was absolutely life-changing. Great stuff, Book. Really cool to remember that occasion with a shirt. That's always nice. And Daniel said I tend to size down with my night shirts. Indeed, Daniel. I think that is generally good advice. So, yeah, just quickly on the Hansa Rostock shirt. I won't. It's a real shame because I would have liked to have been on this one, but the size isn't going to work for me. And even though I would be tempted to buy it and sell it, and I do that sometimes, again for shirts that I'll never wear, and kind of just photographing and things like that, I think we'll pass. But if you are closer to the size, or indeed you just like the shirt, this looks like a very good price. Again, my very rough estimation, I mean, it's not an easily available shirt because it's not on Classic, and there was an old listing here. just quickly as we try and find the shirt. This is not a very kind of foolproof method, but you can see also, just interestingly on the shirt, a different looking name set there. Now that looks more like what I would expect compared to this. So I think, to be honest, that actually, if it is an unofficial name set, I can't confirm that, and I won't spend the time now researching it. But of course, well, I say of course, the best way to do it is literally just try and find images. So again, just look at as much as possible, find an image with a number. So for example, that looks to be potentially the name set of the keeper, and you can see there, it's just a bit of detective work here. But you can see that lines up much more closely with the other listing here. I would deduce or suggest that is not the name set from the time, which would impact the value. So this is something. There's a nice theme to tonight. We're kind of, everything is linking in nicely. So in this example, yeah, unless I could confirm with some pictures, I would be hesitant, or I would argue that the value is lower for an unofficial name set. I don't think that's anything controversial, which would potentially explain why it is a bit cheaper alongside the size. But there you go. That's just a bit, again, of just trying to do as much research as you can. Obviously, if you're spending a lot of money, I would reach out to sometimes specialist collectors or sellers who can maybe help inform on things like, is a name set from the time, or has it been added later, that kind of thing. Samantha says, do you always buy shirts only in your size, or do you just sort of buy shirts you like? Often do you buy something just to have it regardless of size? Yeah, great question. I actually do buy quite often shirts that aren't in my size. I would say, well, I only wear 20% of my collection, maybe, if that. Yeah, I try and aim for my size, which just happens to be medium or large, which again is the kind of quite a good size if you're looking at things like value and stuff like that. But yeah, I will buy shirts that aren't in my size. Ideally, I would still look at the small to XL range, but I bought kid size shirts or XXL shirts as well. Yeah, so in short, I'm quite open to that. And I like a lot of collectors. Some collectors will only buy to wear, which I completely understand. But yeah, for me, I'm a lot more, a lot more kind of open to other sizes. Some great questions tonight, guys. I will just say thank you. Yeah, just for your questions. Keep them coming as we go through. It doesn't have to be about anything we're looking at, particularly on eBay. But obviously, if it is, that's cool. No worries. Either way, it could be about anything, even outside of football shirts. I have no recollection of this RARE Betis shirt. Was this an own brand? Again, this isn't even that long ago. It's only 2009. But and it looks like they've got some kind of Kappa dead stock. I'm so confused by this design. Again, I'm just going to go on old football shirts, which is a great resource, a community-driven resource, which literally just helps you to identify a shirt and its what season it was from. So here we go. Oh, I love this one. Why can't we find one of these? I had no recollection of this. Were Betis? Hang on. Oh, were they even in La Liga? I mean, I can't pretend I was following La Liga closely. So here we go. Sometimes I get things right. It looks like they were actually in the Segunda. So were they relegated the year before? Yeah. Anyway, we won't spend too much time talking about Betis' history, but that's really interesting. So I have no recollection of the shirt. This has to be a bit. In fact, this is okay. Well, we've got time to research. I am fascinated by this shirt for multiple reasons. Again, it looks like knockoff Kappa. There's a giant embossed crest. Okay, here we go. This again. Let's do some research. See what these kind of go for. These sorts of shirts go for. Obviously at £10, that's just a great price. Anyway, brilliant, cool. Genuinely, I don't remember ever seeing that shirt before, and it is pretty funny. Look at all the little details as well. Yeah, we'll come to that. Couple more comments. Guys, this has been easily one of the more busier evenings we've had. So thank you for all your comments in chat. It really does make a difference. It really helps keep the stream vibrant. And this is despite not having the chat window on the side. In fact, I might even, well, I was going to say I could turn the chat title off, but I'll leave it now. Alan. So I'm just trying to find my place. Again, there's been so many comments. I'm genuinely struggling to catch up, which is a good problem to have. Alan says, Phil, do high quality repo name sets increase or decrease value? What are your thoughts on repo name sets? In general, I think it would be a decrease in value, but what we have seen, and Classic have called up for this a couple of times, Classic football shirts that is, in the add-in name sets from, for a 90 shirt, say, or a naughty shirt, adding them, today or in retrospect, whatever the word is, most collectors wouldn't like that. They'd rather the name set was applied at the time. So even if it is the same style and the same techniques even used, it's generally frowned upon. And I would understand that, honestly. I would understand that. Even if it isn't the same name set. Now, of course, as long as it's done in a way which is faithful to how it would have been done originally, I think that's at least somewhat mitigates those concerns. But yeah, in general, I would say I'd rather it was applied at the time or around the time. And I mean, as long as it's an official name set, I think that again is better than an unofficial one. But yeah, some things to consider there. Daniel said, Ireland's national team are no longer using number, and I was going for Hummel because of you, but looks like we're getting Castor. I'd love it if Hummel got Ireland. I'd honestly love Hummel to get more international teams. Yeah, because I'm biased, but I love Hummel. Samantha says Hummel are great designers. They do indeed. They do indeed. Yeah, so big fan of Hummel naturally, and yeah, I think a few national teams under their belt would be great. Right, again, more comments. I'm going to continue before I get to more comments, and let's get a grip with this Real Betis shirt. So again, we're going to do the same process we did just now. First, a quick Google. So we're trying to find the Real Betis 2009 away shirt. Now it's listed as a third shirt on our football shirt. Sometimes you do have to kind of check because sometimes it's just listed incorrectly. So it looks like it might actually be the away. Or it's the third, either way. But let's just try and find it. So we'll do a quick search. And it looks like, maybe the away was actually green. So, okay, so we are looking more like the third shirt, I think. That makes sense. Right, so the first thing, again, what I'm trying to do here is trying to find the shirt. It's a very simple thing. But I'm just trying to find it because what I want to establish is what sort of price would I be willing to pay for this? And when it's a shirt you've never seen before, or you've rarely seen before, it's hard to know, and you don't have time to, ask Twitter or what have you. So we're going to go to two of the bigger sites here in classic football shirts and vintage football shirts. The reason I'm choosing these is just because they've got some of the biggest kind of stock. You could use any site, but really what I'm trying to find is the same shirt or shirt there or thereabouts. What price would it go for? So, and if you can't find the shirt, that helps indicate that it's maybe slightly harder to find. Not necessarily, but because there are big gaps, of course, in vintage shirts, and you can see here. I mean, Betis shirts are very popular, so it makes sense. But there's nothing even close on vintage football shirts. On Classic, you can see. I mean, Classic obviously you pay quite a premium because they can afford to charge more. See, a 2008 shirt, this was the year before, with tags for £100. Now, obviously with tags, you do pay a lot more. It's so funny, that really does look like a Kappa. Honestly, that really does look like, if not a Kappa shirt, a knockoff Kappa shirt. I really want to pick this up. So, anyway, we'll come to a price in a second. Yeah, looking at this, again, this shirt isn't the same thing, and it is with tags, but £100. So I'm thinking, okay, I think we're looking at around £50 would be sort of where I'm landing, maybe a bit less, given that it's a bit of a smaller manufacturer and it's not necessarily a notable shirt in terms of a successful year for Betis or anything like that. So that's interesting. But we can't find the shirt itself, so let's just try and look on Google. So again, I like doing a good image search. You can see very little in the way of the shirt itself. There is one here which we'll check out. So this looks like it possibly an old eBay listing yet, so that's not there. Let's see it. Oh, here we go. So a couple of listings here around the $70 mark. Yes, I think honestly 50. I mean, I wouldn't want to pay 50 for it. I think I'd be much happier around the £20 to £30 mark. But we're definitely going to bid on this. I mean, one funny thing about this stream, obviously I'm talking about what I'm going to bid for a shirt, and you are of course at liberty to outbid me. It's happened a few times, or at least not necessarily from a viewer here, but so this is great. I'm honestly really intrigued by this shirt. I'd like to just see it in person. It really does look like a knockoff Kappa shirt, and it honestly looks quite uncomfortable. This kind of fit, this style, very noughties. Like you saw this a lot where post Euro 2000, when Kappa really kind of started to change the game with their tight fitting shirts, many brands jumped on it and tried to imitate, or at least capture some of that idea. Brilliant. Just again, this is funny because I'm doing this on stream, but I'm going to stick in a bid just straight up £21. Now, what I would say, guys, and many people would advise you don't start chucking in bids with 50 minutes to go. Honestly, I understand it, and if I was really concerned about price, I would wait. But the amount of times I've either not bid on something, or I've just left it too late, and then I kind of start panicking. You've got 10 seconds to go, and I like to stick in an early bid. You can see it's already going up there. Maybe that's one of you guys. I think we would be happy going above 21, but I'm gonna put in 21 for now. That's just let's see. So already up to 16. We could be looking at something much higher. We'll see how we go. But yeah, that's the Betis shirt. Honestly, I'm just so fascinated by it. I think because I haven't seen, I've seen a lot of shirts in my time. There's very few that slip through the net, but this one has up until now. Brilliant stuff. Let's get back to the rest of eBay there and see what else we can find. Jack says, anyone else about a minor OCD problem since starting collecting? Something like folding a shirt can make me so anxious it will be damaged. I think many of us, if not all of us, can relate to that, Jack. It's the kind of thing where the more you there's so many things, not to kind of bring too much doom and gloom, but whether it's OCD or otherwise, there's things which can definitely trigger you, I should say. Crazy to see this fake shirt, which is based on a popular concept, getting 29 bids. This shirt would have cost whoever was selling this maybe a tenner or less, no more than any other fake shirt. Madness. But this shirt, there's money to be made, sadly. If you're a fake shirt seller, you should be looking at these kind of shirts because look at that price, unbelievable. But don't buy fakes, guys. I'm saying that, but don't buy them. And there's if you're going to spend that money, certainly that money, you could get quite a lot of good stuff for that, rather than supporting counterfeit industries. But there we go. Even look at the quality of it. That material, very the cheapest of materials. I've seen worse fakes, but it's pretty naff. And of course, it's based on a concept kit. It's not a real shirt. But there we go. Colchester United fancy reseller on eBay now looking for shirts. Indeed. As I say, the amount of people who maybe do who have picked me to the post for an auction but it's kind of fun. I kind of enjoy it. Yeah, enjoy that aspect. You can see again, no surprise. I mean, I'm gonna have to think how much higher will we go on this. I mean, there's no right or wrong here, but I think I'd be happy under 30, maybe a tiny bit more. We'll see how we go. I think we will wait closer to the end time before putting in more bids. But do jump in, guys, if you like it. Again, that is part of the fun. Evening, AJT, giving me the full name treatment. Call me Philip. That is my name, so that's all good. But yeah, good evening, mate. Haven't seen you for a while, or at least, yeah. Apologise if you have commented on a recent stream. I don't recall, but good to see you nonetheless. Oh, here we go. These Liverpool sweatshirts do go for a lot of money. You can see we've just been outbid. There's the notification, so we'll come back to that. Now this is a size small, but you know, with sizing, it's quite possible this would fit. Certainly, again, the price that you pay for these Adidas Liverpool sweatshirts are very high. You'll rarely find them under £100. It's just, you know, it just so happens, well, the kind of the stars align with a popular club, with a popular manufacturer. Well, that Adidas logo looks really dodgy, and I don't remember if that was actually the case with the Adidas sweatshirts at the time. I mean, that looks a bit better, but that on the collar, it could just be the quality of the kind of quality control letting themselves down a bit. Were we to bid on this, I would want to do some more research to try and establish if that is real or not. I think it would be. You don't tend to see fake sweatshirts, but again, if you were going to fake a sweatshirt, you'd do a little Adidas one. Yeah, interesting item. We'll watch that and see what that goes for later. Jackson, same with me, Alan, in response to Alan's comment, who said that problem actually made me sell shirts that I felt were too damaged, save for further side. Jackson, some shirts I have before collecting, I don't even consider as part of the collection. They have stains because they have stains. Yeah, that's definitely, I can relate to that, guys. I think certainly when it comes to condition, one of the reasons I don't wear all my shirts, I do quite like having most of my shirts in good nick, and I knew that if I wore them at five-a-side or wore them out and it got a stain, it would be frustrating. And again, some people say, well, why would you buy a shirt and not wear it? To me, it's like, why do people collect art, or people collect stamps but never use them? I think that aspect, or that kind of love of actually the collecting and the even just photographing the shirts is as much of a draw to me as wearing it. But that's me. I completely understand. Some people wear all their shirts. Some people don't wear any shirts. That's just kind of the different ways we collect, the different approaches to the same hobby. And AJT said, "Are people remortgaging for England shirts?" Yeah. Honestly, if you do want an England shirt, I hope you. I hope you've already got them, because again, you will definitely pay a premium. With the major tournament tax. So my advice would be, wait before getting an England shirt. Right, let's continue. I mean, again, this Betis shirt, before the auction does come to a close, I will probably do another quick search to try and find it, because maybe these are actually quite rare. I mean, one of the things, and not to build up too much hype, but when you've got a smaller manufacturer, one thing which you often find is that there was just a smaller run. Now, again, I feel like I'm driving the price of this up to my own detriment, but again, this is a general term, not always applying, but that doesn't always apply. Sorry, but yeah, with the smaller manufacturer or own brand shirts, things like this, if you've got typically they're not going to have the same distribution networks as a Nike or an Adidas, and that can actually make the shirt rarer. It's so hard to understand how rare a shirt is. It's almost impossible, but things like that can help inform your knowledge of the situation. So that's one thing. Talking Kit, good to see you, Talking Kit. The team there who do some great stuff, guys. You should check out Talking Kit. I'm sure many of you already have, but if you haven't, check them out. Great channel, great content. Hope you're well, too, guys. Hope you're well. Coaches United saying that was me who put in the shirt, but you can have it. Very good. Again, now, firstly, full respect for doing that because it is a bit funny. And there's once or twice regular viewers will remember when I bid for a South Korea Total 90 shirt, a box shirt. I actually didn't show my final bid in there because I was so keen to get that one. And that is one of my favourite ever purchases, which we got here on eBay. Samantha said, is that the same one? I mean, not the same listing, but the same shirt. This is the same listing, Samantha, if this is what you're referring to. Yeah, it's just I've gone back to it, unless you're talking about another shirt. Apologies. But yeah, that's the one there. And Sam saying, always so cautious looking for shirts on eBay, vintage Gumtree, etc., because I'm so wary of getting scammed. I completely hear you, Sam. What I would say is certainly the amount of times on eBay, I've bought many fake shirts over the years accidentally. Every time I've been able to return the shirt with eBay, and I know some people have had horror stories where they've had problems, but again, well, when I first started collecting, I was so naive that I bought fakes without knowing they were fakes, and then it was too late to return them by the time I kind of realised. But there's been a few in the last couple of years, or last few years when I've been a bit more clued up, I've been able to return them, no questions asked, and if you can prove it that they're fake, and that there are systems to do that. But yeah, I completely hear you. What I would say is, yeah, make sure there is some sort of returns policy. If you're unsure, you should always message the seller if you've got time. Obviously, in this example, if this was a show we wanted to message about, it would be a bit late. But there's things to help. But yeah, you can get burned. I would never spend significant amounts of money if you're not sure. Generally, if you're not sure, it's probably just best to walk away. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just catching up on my comments here. As well as the same thing, that's it. Looks like it was 2009, 2010. Indeed, yeah. Sorry, again, apologies, Samantha. I assume you're talking about the best show here. Yeah. Honestly, I just have no recollection of this. So good. AGT saying eBay pretty good for getting money back. So echoing exactly what I said there. Yeah, my experience has actually been quite good. For all of eBay's flaws, they do a terrible job of, well, they don't remove fake listings at all, which is it's a frustration when there's clear fakes. But at the same time, again, I've not had any problems personally getting money back from fake shirts. And I even actually had an experience again early on in my collecting career when I accidentally sold a fake. So this was when I really didn't know what I was doing. And the buyer came back. So I kind of saw it from the other side actually, where again, they then said this is fake. They provided proof. And, it was quite simple. That was a very easy thing. And actually it kind of gives me a bit more faith in eBay as a platform that it can be used, I would say, relatively well to help fight it, even though, again, it would be better if they were a bit more proactive with removing fake listings. But hey, we'll have to work our way up in the world before we can try and persuade eBay to do something. Maybe we will one day. Alan said some of my best bargains have been on eBay. Likewise, Alan, likewise. Says on Twitter, the second cheapest option. Yeah, Twitter and other social platforms are really good for getting bargains. And often, again, sellers will offer really good prices, or collectors will offer really good prices for shirts for fellow collectors. So yeah, definitely worth checking out. So they're saying, oh, sorry, I said the listing. No worries. I suppose it's the third shirt. Indeed, yeah, it's it appears to be their third shirt from 2009. Now, as we draw to a close, again, I'm just going to do a quick look for this, and this is just to try and help establish what sort of price we'll be happy to pay for this. In my head, if I can get it under 30, I'll be really happy. But it's such an interesting design, and again, based on this is, ideally we'd have more time to really try and find the shirt. But you can see in terms of just a quick Google. This is the same listing. There seems to be not a ton of pictures are out there. Yeah, so I really, honestly, I just, again, I really want to see this shirt in person. Now, whether we'll win the auction, I don't know. But as it closes, we'll watch it close. Of course, again, it's going to be funny. You'll see my bid, so you're at liberty to outbid me. Tell you what, I'm very helpful at driving up the price for people, aren't I? If you want to hire me to raise your, that's pretty dodgy actually. I won't suggest that. I was going to say you could pay me on a on the down low to raise your your sales. I probably shouldn't say I'm going to do that. I'm pretty sure there will be policies against that. But there we go. Baz said, how does refunds work nowadays in eBay? I don't use PayPal as payment anymore. That's true actually. Although I think you can still use PayPal, right? But there were some changes. Honestly, Baz, I'm not sure. I've not had it happen over the last year or so. But from memory, the last time I did it, it was all completely fine. But if anyone has any more knowledge on that, I could help. That's useful. Ian said, I've been building a collection of German low Lee shirts recently at very reasonable prices, looking for clean, well-designed shirts, complete with club badges and sponsors, some cool pickups. I like that, Ian. I like that as a little sub-collection. That's very cool. Right, this Betis shirt. So we've talked a lot about this. In all honesty, I'm not sure whether this is actually a good price or not. In my mind, this is a good price, but it's possible these are doing the rounds at 20, 30 quid. But we're going to stick in a bid. I'm going to go for something around the £33 mark. I'd like to get it lower. Again, I'm being overly transparent here in my bids, but I'd just really like to see this shirt in person for various reasons. I just have no recollection of this. I don't know if this is an own brand or I assume this is an in-house kit. I might be wrong. But yeah, nonetheless, let's stick in a bid. There's still 50 seconds to go, so I'm a bit early, but there we go. So without bid, Colchester United fans TV. He said he'd bidded on this one. Yeah, I might get out a bit at the last second. eBay is not that, it's quite frustrating actually, because sometimes, again, because of your internet connection or just the way it goes, you get outbid, and even though it's supposed to add on time if it's close to the end time, it can be honestly quite chaotic. So we're just seeing here, 10 seconds to go, we are winning, but it all could change. Of course, I could stick in a higher price if I was really concerned about it. But it looks like we might, well, again, anything can change, anything can happen. But that's a good sign. I think we won it, guys. I think we won it. At 23 quid, potentially. We're waiting for the confirmation. I'll be really happy with 23 quid. I mean, you saw that there we go. Brilliant. 23 quid. So that is, honestly, I'm really, really happy with that. It's a shirt I've not seen before. I've not seen available for sale even before. We couldn't even find it based on a quick search. Yeah. So there we go. The RARE Betis 2009 third shirt. For, honestly, at that price, I am absolutely stoked. Now, I don't think that shirt is necessarily that nice. I mean, it's pretty ugly. It does look like a knockoff Kappa shirt. But, it appears to be the actual shirt. Again, I mean, one thing I didn't really check properly was to make sure it was actually a shirt. I believe it was based on the few pictures we saw. Yeah, so there we go. The RARE Betis third shirt. I was prepared to pay over 30 quid for that. Getting it for 23. I'll probably keep it. I mean, it's possible I'll look to sell it, but Betis are definitely a team I'll be interested to collect more shirts from, especially now that with Hummel, I ought to start a Betis collection. There we go. A nice win there. After last time where we missed out on a Red Star shirt, the auction was actually the day after, but I got outbid, and I kind of regret not putting a higher bid on there. So nice to get a win there. Yeah, I'm gonna look at this. I'll obviously show you guys. I'll take some photos. We'll probably do an unboxing video, or not an unboxing. So we'll do a what I'm buying video at the end of the month with this shirt. Great stuff. That's really good. I mean, I think I'm going to end it there, guys. But any final questions or comments, I'd love to hear them as we close. Yeah, get them in the chat. It's been a busy evening, and I must say, guys, I know I've said it a couple of times tonight, but thank you just for the activity. Like, for a small YouTube channel like this, a small streamer, I guess, yeah, just having a little community here is so much fun. It means so much. Yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this in some way. I hope you found this informative in some way. Please do leave. Please do leave. Please do leave. No, please subscribe before you leave if you haven't already. Good stuff. Again, I'll be here for another five minutes to answer any comments. So get them in the chat. As we go through, a few good nights. Good evening, Michael. And AJT as well. Ian says, yay. Indeed. Nice to... honestly, I'm really happy with that. We went through that process. We learned a bit about the shirt. Got it for me, that price is... Like, I'd rather pay this. No, with no disrespect to the likes of M&M Direct or other kind of bargain places. Yeah, they have some really good deals, don't get me wrong. But at this sort of price, you know, I'd rather get something that's a bit, you know, that's vintage, that's a bit more unusual. That's just me personally. Again, nothing against M&M Direct. I've got quite a few shirts from them over the years. But you can see this is just what eBay can be really good for. And just on the shirt, JPR saying, really like the best image alternative cover, looks great on this year's map third shirt. Yeah, I'm going to be definitely looking out for that one. And if anything, I don't know if you guys have this, but you know when you buy a shirt and you think, oh, actually, it entices you to buy even more to buy a current shirt. So definitely it'd be fun to get that Betis, the current Betis shirt, and do a little comparison. So I think almost certainly I'm going to have to, that Betis third shirt is now shot up my wish list. Because it'd be fun to take some pictures with this one and compare and contrast. Great question from Alice is, how do you budget for football shirts? Honestly, Alan, I think the biggest thing I would say, and this is just a personal thing, I actually really like the process of selling my shirts that I already own to fund new purchases. So this is something which not everyone does, but I quite like, again, if I've got, you know, every few months, I'll kind of look at my collection and think, actually, are there shirts there which I'm not actually that bothered about keeping, or I'm less excited about now compared to when I had bought them. And I won't even necessarily make profit on that. Sometimes I'll make a loss, but it helps to keep it so that it's not all just outgoing. So that's one thing I'd say. That's a personal thing which I do, but other people do, and I think it is actually a good way of helping to budget. Because otherwise, you know, unless you've got a massive disposable income and you can afford to do it, always spending and never selling can be really difficult. And you can end up in a situation where basically you just don't have anything for, you know, any money, let alone for shirts. Yeah. AJ T saying, Vanessa shirts post Nike are awful. Thank you. Good night. That's a mic drop to finish there from AJ T. Baz saying, great to have managed to catch most of the stream before going to work. And you didn't look at the shirt I had an eye on. Very good, Baz. Have a good evening and a good shift. Oh, sorry, have a good evening. I was going to say, yeah, have a good shift, Baz. But everyone else, have a good one. Alan saying just purchased 2010 of a Netshirt shirt, a Lotto shirt. Very nice. Good to see a Lotto shirt. You don't see many Lotto shirts these days. And Samantha saying, looking forward to that show coming in. I'll be watching on Twitter. Thanks, Samantha. Great to have you as a recent subscriber and for your comments. Yeah, guys, it's been a great evening. Thank you for your contributions. It really does make the stream what it is. It's very blurry there. Let's see if I can, there we go. Zhao, good to see Zhao as we begin to draw to close. But he says, our topic this year, so there's not a remarkable new shirt tech that stands out from the last edition. We had the dual layer, we had dry fit, the vents, etc. What are your thoughts? Yeah, Zhao, honestly, I'm hoping or looking forward to more innovation. What I would say is I think Adidas did step up in terms of their construction. The technology itself wasn't necessarily any better, but I really thought that was a step up, or it felt just like a much nicer shirt, or at least there was more in terms of the shirt in person. But yeah, the biggest thing I'm looking forward to is when we move, out of this kind of phase we're in, where largely the shirts have been quite similar from a tech perspective. I'm hoping we see the next development of that quite soon. Yeah, so that's something I'm really interested in, something which I'm hoping we'll see, coming up. And Alan, thank you, Alan, again for your great comments and regular chat. Till the next one, indeed. Guys, it's just been a great evening. Thank you for hanging out. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like if you enjoy this as well. I'll chat to you on Twitter. I said this the other day on Twitter that even though Twitter's kind of gone to pot, Elon Musk is doing his best to try and sabotage it. I'm not going anywhere on there. I'll still be on there. I've invested too much into it now to go anywhere. But do, let's chat over there and of course over here at Phil's Corner here on the YouTube. Right, I'll sign off. Have a good evening, and I'll see you. Well, I won't be here on Thursday, actually. Just a quick note, the usual Thursday stream won't be happening, but there will be hopefully a stream next week on eBay again, and there'll be other stuff coming up as well. But until then, take care and all the best.